across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. Stand by for 3 electric hours of news, views and topical debate. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way to 7 o'clock. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000. Or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Friday, June the 26th. Here's what's coming up. Most Brits are proud of our royals, the most famous family in the world that do more for a brand UK than almost anything else. But are King Charles and his regal clan really value for money? Why exactly have taxpayers been forced to fork out a staggering £369 million to renovate a palace that the royals are not even going to live in? None of them. Why is the sovereign grant paid for by us, the people, being doubled to an astronomical £100 million a year? Why did Charles sell his Highgrove House country retreat to his son's Duchy of Cornwall estate, only for William to now charge his dad £500,000 a year rent? Why do Prince Edward and the other royal relatives you've never heard of pay peppercorn rents to reside in magnificent mansions that would cost a fortune on the open market? Are this lot getting fabulously rich at our expense? Are they taking us for a ride? Or are they worth every single penny? What do you think? 0344 499 1000. In other news, hundreds of dangerous criminals are to be released to ease the pressure on our chronically overcrowded prisons, including murderers, rapists and violent criminals. Isn't that special? 0344 499 1000. All being not well, King Andy Burnham should be Prime Minister at 6:01 on July the 15th. A triumph of British democracy. Snap election in your dreams ain't gonna happen. 0344 499 1000. Although some idiots in the Labour Party seem to say at least we've finally got a female Prime Minister. What's that all about? No, Andy Burnham is a guy. I know you people in the Labour Party have trouble telling the difference between men and women, but Andy Burnham is not a female leader. They say he's got female sensibilities. What a load of claptrap. Is Andy Burnham a woman? 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, continuing to behave like a sulky teenager, sacked Keir Starmer has refused to sack ludicrous Immigration Minister Mike Tapp for his total disrespecting of his boss, Shabana Mahmood. The Home Secretary is demanding her disloyal deputy's dismissal for going behind her back to write an article in The Times calling for foreign care workers to be exempted from Mahmood's migrant visa crackdown. Many believe that, against stiff opposition, the absurd Tapp, MP for Dover and Deal, is the stupidest man in Parliament. Who am I to disagree? 0344 499 1000. Plus, Home Office plans to use more and more military bases to house asylum seekers in rage campaigners, especially after it emerged that it's cheaper to accommodate migrants in hotels. Also, the moment a lawyer came right out and said the reason a Bangladeshi man groomed and raped a 12-year-old autistic girl was because he lacked English moral values. We'll bring you the full details of that case. Our NHS staff are meanwhile trying to cash in on that poor little 3-year-old boy fighting for his life after being thrown into a zoo's crocodile pen by a madman. If not, why have more than 40 health workers accessed the kids' medical records? What's going on there? They're trying to flog the details. That would be my guess. And finally, the hilarious speech that ripped the dubious Mr. and Mrs. Sturgeon to shreds and called for the moral collection to be donated to the Scottish state and displayed as national treasures. 0344 499 1000. All that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Friday afternoon together. Let's go straight over to my first guest. He's former Labour MP, now Reform UK, Simon Danczuk. Simon, good to have you on the show. Before we get going, got to warn you, fairly soon, around about 4:15, we're expecting the judge to deliver the sentence on that Manchester airport thug who beat up a cop. So we may have to cut off for that. But in the meantime, what are your thoughts on the royal family? I mean, you know, I'm a sort of passive supporter of the royals. I think they are very good for brand Britain, as they say. They sell our country around the world, and they are, without a doubt, the most famous family on the face of the earth. I'm quite proud about that. However, you know, I think it's outrageous that we, British taxpayers, have had to fork out £369 million to renovate that Victorian monstrosity in the middle of London, Buckingham Palace, and none of them are even going to live in it. If they had the faintest idea about publicity and the people, which they don't, one of them would deign to live in that place because it would somehow slightly justify this enormous outlay. Meanwhile, the sovereign grant, which is what we give them from our taxpayers' money every year to fund their various activities, that's going to be doubled to an astronomical £100 million a year. Now, these kind of figures, if they were reasonable, then you'd say, yeah, cool, royal family, value for money. But these figures are so vast, you have to start questioning, are our royal family really worth this kind of massive burden on British taxpayers?
You're saying there, I'm like you, I'm a royalist. I think they're good for brand Britain. We saw that recently when Charles went to the United States, didn't we? And he managed to smooth over some of the feathers that Starmer had ruffled over the last couple of years. So they do play a role in terms of diplomacy and promoting Britain, and I buy into that. So I'm an admirer of the royal family. I think they're a positive for Great Britain. But I also think that they're far too big. There's far too many of them, hangers-on, that are being literally accommodated by us, the British taxpayer. I think they have far too many residences that we have to upkeep, and Buckingham Palace is a perfect example of that. I think the truth in terms of this story is that King Charles and Camilla prefer to live at Clarence House. And I've met them there. I've been to a reception at Clarence House. And on one level, you can understand it. I mean, Buckingham Palace is, as I'm sure you've been in there as well, is a big sprawling place.
And it used to be, I don't know what it looks like. I'm sure it looks a lot better after the renovations, but I went pre-renovations lots of times, and it was pretty damn shabby. It really was. So I can understand their desire, but why are we paying £369 million to renovate a building that no one's going to live in?
Yeah, no, but I think it will get used. I think it'll get used for a whole range of different purposes. And there is an argument, I suspect, which is probably not being made, which it's easier security-wise for them to live in Clarence House. It's like a small, I don't know if you've been there, it's like a small country house just off the mall.
It's much nicer than Buckingham Palace, I agree with that. But it's just that, you know, these royals and their sort of brown-nosing publicity people, their communications team, are always completely useless because they're so far, they're all, be me ever so humble. They're so deferential to the royals. They do a useless job. They always do, the Buckingham Palace PR department. They've got no idea. The optics of this are dreadful, so people like you and I, who are supporters of the royal family, and I think we represent millions of people around the country, kind of proud of them, proud that they're the most famous family on the face of the earth, and they do a great job. So we support them, but I don't support this kind of vast outlay on the part of taxpayers who are struggling in a cost of living crisis. There's something wrong here. This sounds like two-tier Britain to me, Simon.
Oh, well, and Prince William and Kate have said that they're not going to move to London at all when he becomes monarch. They'll remain living in in Windsor, which is another concern. I don't know whether that will hold. But all of this is on top of Prince Andrew, isn't it? And all the irregularities around where he's lived and where he's been charging people to live in royal residences and all the rest of it. It is as though they're just on the make. And what we need to do is to shrink the royal family, shrink the number of properties that we have a responsibility for, and just cut back on the amount that we are spending. Yeah. Everybody else is cutting their budgets, you know, living standard budgets, and yet we are being asked to double the amount that we are spending on the residences that they get to live in. I mean, that can't be right.
Exactly right. I mean, King Charles, when he was Prince Charles, said, "I will slim down the royal family." It was his big shtick. He hasn't slimmed it down. It looks like a bloated, much fatter royal family now. So something's a bit amiss here, but we'll be discussing this, folks, later on in the show with royal biographer Angela Levin, who I think will probably disagree with me, to be honest with you. She's a huge fan of the royal family. Well, I am too, but this doesn't sit right with me, and I think you agree with me, Simon. Let's move on. Hundreds more dangerous prisoners are to be released as part of Labour's ongoing project to keep up cell space in chronically overcrowded jails. This time including killers, rapists and seriously violent criminals. This is getting ridiculous. You know, shouldn't it be, at the very least, well, you know, our jails are so crowded. Build more of the buggers, for God's sake.
Build more prisons, that's the simple answer, and send foreign nationals, which make up a big proportion of our prison population, back to their country of origin. That's what we should be doing. And, you know, David Lammy, the Justice Minister, is missing in action. He's over in Ukraine with the Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, when all this is going on. What's he doing out there?
I think you mean, Simon, you mean David Lammy, the current Justice Secretary, the current Deputy Prime Minister. There's a lot of strange activity going on right now as we enter this kind of weird interregnum phase where we've got a Prime Minister without power in the office but no power, pointless Guy Starmer. And it looks as if Andy Burnham will be crowned. His coronation will happen at 6 p.m. on the 15th of July. There'll be no challenges against him. And these people say, oh, will he call a snap election? In their dreams, in their dreams. Of course he won't. If he calls a snap election, you know, he might, with the Burnham bounce, win it, but there's a chance he wouldn't. And he certainly would shed, in my view, at least 100 Labour seats, maybe more. Why would he do that?
Well, ministers have given up governing, haven't they? That's what we're talking about. We've even got this spat between the Prime Minister and Shabana Mahmood.
I want to get onto that in just a second. Let's hold fire on that one because I think it's very important. But just let's go back before we get on to old Mike Tapp. So altogether, ministers have set out a timetable that will see 6,000 more prisoners walk free starting in September. And this time, as they let out more and more, this is about the third time we've seen these big releases. You know, you've seen them all coming out, Lamborghinis waiting for them, champagne corks popping, as they, you know, really serious criminals walk out having served about 3 months when they should have done 10 years. This time, because the more they let criminals out, the more they have to, if you like, go up the scale of the seriousness of the crooks they're going to release. And this time, killers, rapists and extremely violent criminals. I mean, this is getting worrying. What about safety on the streets? Not very good for that, is it?
No, even the police have started raising concerns now. They believe that when this kicks in September, there's going to be a crime wave. And the other point, which I think is really illustrative of what's going on, I saw a post on social media from Sarah, who was a victim in the Rotherham rape gang situation. And she posted there that her perpetrators, the people that had been raping her since the age of 11, were finally prosecuted in 2024 after a 10-year investigation, and she's just had a letter from the Home Office telling her that the perpetrators are likely to get a third knocked off their sentences. What a smack in the face to the victims. This Labour government seems to do more for the perpetrators of crime than they do for the victims. And look at that illustration there, a victim in the Rotherham grooming gang scandal. Absolutely atrocious.
Yeah,
this is the reality of it.
The grooming gang members will be among those being released. Also paedophiles, as I say, murderers. There's one guy, a manslaughter guy. He's doing 15 years. He's going to get out after 7, and so on and so forth. You know, you can't just do this. You know, you can say, oh, well, the prisons are really crowded, so we're going to let out this serial killer. You know, it's just mad. It is insane. They should be, as a matter of urgent priority, building more prisons. They managed to build those Nightingale hospitals, didn't they, in about 3 weeks flat. We should have a similar project. And instead of putting more and more migrants into army camps, maybe convert the army camps into prisons. How about that? We've got to find somewhere to put these people, not just let them out. It's insane. Let me know what you think, folks. 0344 499 1000. Let's get on to that Mike Tapp business. Look, what we've got here is I'm on Shabana Mahmood's side here every day of the week. It's not often I say that, but I am on this one. Immigration Minister Mike Tapp has basically declared war on his boss, the Home Secretary. Mike Tapp, by the way, is the MP for Dover and Deal, so he's on the front line in the migrant crisis. We'll play you a couple of videos in a minute, folks, later on in the show. But he's written this article in the Times calling for foreign care workers to be exempted from Shabana Mahmood's migrant visa crackdown. She says that's against policy. You didn't tell me you were going to write this piece in the Times. You've broken the ministerial code. You've disrespected me. I want to sack you. Keir Starmer, who I believe now is behaving like a sulky teenager, won't ratify that. And he's finally said he's taking advice. He should be backing up his Home Secretary. It's clear here. I mean, Tapp is a crazed Starmer loyalist. So it's clear here Starmer is taking a stand against Shabana Mahmood, who, of course, is backing Andy Burnham. Shabana Mahmood is one of the cabinet secretaries who went to Starmer and said, you got to go. And he's behaving, right, I'm going to get you back now. I'm not gonna let you sack Mike Tapp. Meanwhile, you know, no, Andy, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna give you until September. I'm going now. What are you gonna do about that? And I'm gonna publish my defence investment plan. That'll handcuff you, won't it? Honestly, we've got a Prime Minister now who's behaving like a petulant, tantrum-throwing teenager.
Government's in free fall, isn't it? I mean, that's the reality of it. The government ministers have stopped governing. I mean, the country is not being run effectively or efficiently. You've got people arguing over who's going to be the next Chancellor. You've got this fallout within the Home Office. You've got Keir Starmer claiming that he's done so much positive policy in the last 2 years that they're actually just sacked him. I mean, he can't have been that effective as Prime Minister. He's just been sacked from the job. Nobody's governing the country. And if it weren't such a serious issue, it would be laughable, wouldn't it? And this is going to go on day in and day out until somebody takes over as Prime Minister. As you point out, that's highly likely going to be Andy Burnham. By mid-July. But Al Khan's might still throw his hat in the ring. There's still a decision to be made from him.
My view on that, Simon, my view on that is Al Khan saying, I might throw my hat in the ring. Or maybe, Andy, you could think about making me Defence Secretary. What do you reckon? I suspect that's what's going on there. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I think this guy Burnham will be crowned the King of Britain, no longer the King of the North, the King of the South and the West and the East as well, on apparently July the 15th at 6 p.m. That's when time runs out for any challengers against him in the leadership battle. So I think that's a foregone conclusion, and I think at that point, there's no chance he will call a general election. Just a last question. Is Andy Burnham a woman, do you think, Simon? Because Labour are sort of hailing him as their first female Prime Minister because he's so sensitive to female issues. He's such a sort of new man. You know, Labour still confused about what a man is and what a woman is. Is this the party fit to get? He's not a woman, is he, Andy Burnham?
Listeners will not believe this, but it's a true story, isn't it? Senior Labour figures have been saying that Andy Burnham is effectively as good as a female Labour leader because he's very sensitive, he's into policies that are more female orientated, you know, whether it's about education and NHS as opposed to defence and tackling crime. It's utter nonsense, totally derogatory towards women. Yeah. But this is senior Labour figures saying that Andy Burnham is effectively their first female Labour leader. You could not make this stuff up.
Dinosaur party, Simon, dinosaur party. They can't bring themselves to put a woman in charge. There was me thinking that Andy Burnham was an abbreviation for Andrew, but apparently it's Andrea Burnham. That's his name. There you go. So, Simon, great to talk to you. We didn't get that verdict after all. We're still waiting for that. The brilliant Simon Danjuk there with some of the big stories of the day. He's a former Labour MP and now a Reform UK spokesperson, I would call it that. Now, as I say, we're still waiting for the sentence. We're talking about Mohammed Fahir Amaz. He has been found guilty, as you know, of attacking PC Ellie Cook, a woman, smashed her nose all over her face. Brave guy, beat 2 women up. He also attacked PC Lydia Ward. He beat up 2 women. What a guy. We're waiting for him to be sentenced. It was supposed to come around about 4:15. Hasn't happened yet, so as soon as it does happen, we'll have to break off. But let's go to break. When I come back, I'm going to play you one of the most dramatic videos of a police chase you will have ever seen involving armed cops, and a hero, not white van driver, a hero black van driver who picked up this armed cop to chase a crook. Watch this in a minute. It's amazing. So stay where you are.
Only somebody like Rachel Reeves would take a tax-free savings product and apply a tax on it. So the parting gift of Rachel Reeves is that she's going to come for your ISA now and apply a 22% tax. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. Well, we're going to fight this every step of the way. I'm going to hopefully raise it in Parliament later today and try and put as much pressure on her.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, let's go over to my next guest, and then we'll play you this incredible video. The guest is the excellent Chris Phillips, former DCI Met Police and ex-head of National Counter-Terrorism. Welcome, Chris. Well, let's just enjoy this video first, and I'll get your thoughts afterwards. Well, take it away, Thanet Police and a hero van driver. Here we go.
All police! Stay where you are! Running down the hill towards the viaduct.
Get back, get back.
Go, 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 go. I'm going, I'm going. Go, go, go. Cheers, buddy. Follow that police officer. Don't crash. If you just go past him, keep going past. Keep going past. Keep going past. Keep going past. Keep going, keep going. Right. Stop here on the right. Stop. Stop. Stop there. Don't move. Put your hands on your head. Sorry, mate.
No worries.
Cheers for your help.
No problem. I'm just glad I can be of service.
Thank you. Cheers, buddy. We'll get on with doing the rest of it, but thank you very much for your assistance.
That was quite exhilarating.
See you later. Hopefully the rest of your day is a bit calmer.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. See you later.
Bye.
Yeah, I think the black van driver there didn't expect that to happen during his working day. What a hero. You know, that's helping the police. Also, good to see some serious policing there. Perhaps that officer who got in the van was a bit out of shape. He sounded like me after I run 5 yards or something. But what a brilliant piece of video. Great policing. And that is a citizen helping officers of the law of the highest order, isn't it, Chris?
Yes, and in the UK, we have long relied on the public helping us, helping the police, not me anymore. And, of course, that's what's expected of the public, to assist the police. And that chap showed his true worth. And listen, I think the vast majority of people do still support the police. There are problems, of course. Things have changed. The video recording and stuff has not helped. But this incident on its own just shows that the public still want to be policed and want to help the police.
Exactly right. Now, this, just to put people in the picture, this unfolded in Margate, and the suspect was being pursued on suspicion of a serious assault. It must have been, we don't know the name of the suspect, we don't know the name of the van driver yet. If you're watching van driver, give us a call, 03444991000. Would love to talk to you. You're a hero. But this must have been a very serious villain to be being pursued by fully armed officers like that.
Yeah, armed officers don't normally deploy like this. And when we say he's a bit unfit, I'll tell you what, he's fitter than any of us, because he's got to run around with huge amounts of kit.
Yeah, that's been fair.
That's a different kettle of fish altogether than, you know, running around in your T-shirt and shorts. This officer will be super fit. But it's great that the incident played out as it did, because it allowed him to get in front of the suspect, which is what you're always trying to do, in order to stop him and arrest him.
Yeah, and you can see quite clearly, if it hadn't have been for the van driver, this guy would have got away. I mean, he was gaining ground on the coppers because, as you say, he's light and ready to run. They're burdened down by all their equipment and their rifles, and that van driver allowed the armed copper to get in front of him. Boom, end of story. Really, it's like a real movie, wasn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's interesting actually how things are going, because the police now, I think they announced in the last few days that they're using these drones to get up. So effectively a drone will respond to an incident to find out what's going on, which then will allow officers to get in front, as we say, particularly these bike thieves and the thieves running around on bikes, to actually identify who that thief is, follow them with a drone, and then get the police to the point where they can make the arrest.
My favourite bit apart from the happy ending, if you like, was when the copper said, "Don't crash," and the driver goes, "I won't crash, sir."
You know, Kevin, I've jumped in a couple of vehicles and I've had people help me, and the last thing you want is for them to have an accident, because of course they're not used to this kind of driving. They're suddenly put into a position where their heart's beating, and if they have a crash, then the police officers and the police force will have to take some responsibility. But the driver did a great job. The police officer did a great job. It's good to have a good news police
I was just about to say that, Chris. It's nice to do a positive police story for once in a while.
There are thousands of these incidents going on.
I know. You're absolutely right. We you know, you always remember, folks. You know, there are thousands of decent police officers on the streets doing their best to keep you safe. Unfortunately, there are quite a few senior cops who are just woke idiots who are undermining the dedicated coppers who just want to do a job and catch the bad guys like they did this time. Chris, always love having you on the show. Come on again soon. Thank you very much. That is Chris Phillips, former head of National Counter-Terrorism. Next up, we're going to talk to Kim Bailey. She's the chairwoman of the Crowborough Shield down there in East Sussex, where they have had their local army camp turned into a massive base for migrants, 545 of them, all young males. And we're going to get Kim's reaction to the fact the Home Office has just announced that it's going to use more and more military bases in which to house, accommodate asylum seekers. Their story being, oh, it's so much cheaper than the hotels. Well, it turns out it isn't. It's more expensive to house asylum seekers in hotels than it is certainly in the Crowborough camp. So we'll talk to Kim about that next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. The good news is another 150 migrants came across the channel illegally yesterday. That is after a week, 7 days. That's 8 days in a row, hundreds of them coming nearly every day. We've had about, that brings it to about 1,800, nearly 2,000. In 8 days. Isn't that special? So, Keir Starmer, did you see him? He said, oh, I've solved migrant crosses, the number of crossings is way down. Oh, we're really getting to grips with. No, you're not. They're coming over in their droves as always. Let's go over to Kim Bailey in Crowborough. She's the chairwoman of the Crowborough Shield organisation that continues to campaign against the army base in their midst that's been turned into a pretty massive accommodation centre for 545 young male migrants. Kim, welcome to the show. I guess the reason we've got you on is the Home Office has announced that they see your army camp as a sort of blueprint. Oh, fine, we cracked it. Marvellous. Now let's do it. So they're going to now convert, apparently, more and more army bases into accommodation centres for asylum seekers, similar to the one that's been imposed on your community. Now, their story is always, well, you know, it does save so much money, it's so much cheaper to put them, you know, as if, I personally, you know, OK, great if it's cheaper, but I don't think that cuts to the heart of the matter. What we actually want is for them not to be here in the first place. But it's not even true that it's cheaper. It costs, I believe, an average of £161 a night to keep a migrant in your Crowborough army camp. The average cost to keep a migrant asylum seeker in a hotel is £140 a night. So it's £20 a night more expensive for these guys to be in your local camp. What are your thoughts about the fact the government is A, expanding the army camp plan, and B, frankly, lying to us, gaslighting us, saying it's so much cheaper? Because it's not.
It's not. Oh gosh, Kevin, I wish there's just never enough time on these shows to go through everything. But I mean, just to run you through some of the figures here at Crowborough, you've got 3 million to set it up. You've got 4 million to Clear Springs, 2.641 million for the MOD to hand it over to the Home Office. You've got 5.62 million from the police just to police it. And then based on those figures of 160 odd a night, you're looking at between 80 and 90,000 pounds per day. So that's 15 million just in the first quarter. And then you've got 80 to 90,000 pounds per day to keep this site open. Now, they've just said that, you know, all along they've said it's just for 12 months. And actually, we've known from the off, they were never, ever going to just keep this open for 12 months. Now, obviously, we are challenging their use of Class Q, which is their emergency powers. We're challenging that with a judicial review. Now, this has changed slightly because now our court case hasn't changed, our arguments haven't changed, but they are now saying that they are going to be keeping this open for 5 years. Now, that is not emergency powers. So we are now calling upon our district council, as they did at Cameron Barracks, and we've been calling on the district council from the off because they have done absolutely nothing and have said, you know, they've had all this legal advice and it's not worth taking legal action. Well, actually, they've never shared what that legal action is. So we don't actually know what they've been told. But they are the only district council that has not challenged the Home Office in any way, shape or form. So as you know, Cameron Barracks is not going ahead, but you've got all these other sites that are going straight forward without the Class Q. So it's going to be really interesting to find out what's actually going on there, because it doesn't look like they're going to be using Class Q. But when
the Home Office first sort of, or when you first learned that the Home Office planned to use your local army training camp, it used to be used for cadets and things, didn't it? They planned to turn that into an accommodation centre for 545 migrants. I think you got about 450 in there so far and counting. They told you, if I'm right, if I got this right, don't worry, it'll only be for a year. And then a couple of weeks ago, we learned that it will be till at least 2030. You know, which apart from the fact that's a shocking sort of lie to you poor people in Crowborough, it's so unambitious, isn't it, about, you know, trying to solve the migrant crisis. This reveals that this Labour government has no plans to stop the migrants coming over, to stop the migrant crisis. The only plans it has is to expand into more and more army bases and extend the amount of time they'll be in there. So this reveals that this government has no plans to stop the migrant crisis.
No, and they're essentially advertising to these countries. We've got more accommodation available. We've just opened up 5 sites to house more asylum seekers. So the only message that they're giving is we've got more space. More of you can come. They're not, you know, Alex Norris and Shabana Mahmood, they talk about these pull factors, but actually they are not addressing any pull factors. They're actually advertising, hey, we've created even more space for you guys to come over. There is no de-incentivization whatsoever. And going back to your point just a second ago, is yes, our cadets were told it was only for 12 months. So a lot of those cadets, they're teenagers, you know, they think, oh, okay, and the leaders of the cadets are thinking, okay, maybe we can tolerate this for 12 months, is a temporary we can use this sports gym at a school or college. For 12 months, maybe we can tolerate that. But actually, these 14-year-olds that are, you know, wanting a career in the military services are actually now never going to return, because by the time they return, they will no longer be cadets because they go beyond the age of 18. So actually, all of these hundreds, if not thousands of cadets are now being told, you will never return to your cadet centre again. And that's disgraceful. That's absolutely disgusting. It's very disingenuous of this government, and it just doesn't seem to stop.
I'm going to give you some statistics. I don't know if you saw the Prime Minister, our current Prime Minister, such as he is, Keir Starmer, boasting about his magnificent record a couple of days ago, in which he said, you know, I brought the number of crossings right down, you know, I'm really getting to grips with the migrant crisis. Before I give you the statistics for how many migrants have come across the channel illegally in the last 8 days, I just want to ask you quickly, Kim, what is the effect on Crowborough now that you have 450 foreign young men, asylum seekers, migrants living in your community? Are they milling around the streets? You know, are people must be nervous, particularly mothers of kids, you know, young girls, etc. What's it like now your migrant camp is seriously up and running?
So obviously lots of people have changed their behaviours, the way that they go about their daily life. So one of the key things about these camps is that they have a zero tolerance or a zero alcohol, zero drugs policy, which means they're not allowed to take any alcohol or drugs back onto the site. So obviously
they take them out, so they do all their drinking outside. Yeah.
They do. So you do see them. You see them around a lot. You see a lot of families saying you can't walk that way home from school anymore. You see parents are picking their children up from school. You know, we obviously went through the winter where it gets dark at 4 o'clock and children are walking home from school. But there was very few in there at this time. So now it's a lot lighter at night times. I think it's a little bit easier at the moment. But as soon as it starts to get dark again, that is where you're going to have a lot more issues. And the problem is, Kevin, we've got this judicial review going, so we have got hundreds and hundreds of police in Crowborough all the time. As soon as this judicial review is over, they are going to, or essentially they're going to take to the judicial review. There's been no crime because it's absolutely saturated in police. As soon as this judicial review is over, you're going to see all the police pulled from these areas because they're going to be needed in Bicester and Linton on Ouse. So you're going to see the crime stats that we are seeing around the country where they've had these asylum hotels where the numbers are so much smaller. And look at Wethersfield. It is all going to be changed by the end of this summer.
Yeah,
that is terrifying for lots of our families.
So the initial new bases that are planned to be used, there are sites in Oxfordshire, Suffolk and North Yorkshire, and that's just the start. Now, I promised you this. Now, you saw, didn't you, Keir Starmer a couple of days ago, incredibly saying how well he's done with the migrant crisis. Crossings are right down, he said. Well, that's because the weather's been really bad. You may have noticed it's not particularly turbulent in terms of the weather right now. So I'm going to read you the figures for the last 8 days of, this is the number of migrants that have crossed the channel illegally, only to be welcomed into the warm embrace of this nation, no doubt put into hotels or army bases, given £50 a week benefits, free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers, free loads of other stuff. Here we go. Each one of these migrants, by the way, as you well know, costs us £40,000 to £50,000 a year. Every year they're here. That's good, isn't it? Right, here we go. So this is the 18th of June. This would have been like last Wednesday, I think. 392. 19th of June, 406, 20th of June, 94, 21st of June, 310, 22nd of June, only 27, back up and running on the 23rd of June, 186, 24th of June, 221, yesterday, 150. And we have a Prime Minister who says he's really got to grips with illegal channel crossings. The gaslighting by this man and his government and your friend from the Home Office, Alex Norris, is off the scale, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. And these figures are, you know, these are the people coming over. And what you'll see is that the Home Office is constantly putting out how many they've deported, these huge numbers that they've deported. Well, actually, ask them how many of those deported asylum seekers have returned, because the number is astonishing. And that's something that a lot of you, anyone can do a Freedom of Information request to find out the figures. It is shocking.
We'll do that, as that one in, one out scheme, apparently loads of them that have been returned to France are coming back, mostly on lorries. There's a lot. Let's remember, they don't just come over on these small boats. A lot of them are coming underneath lorries and in the back of lorries. So the nightmare continues apace. Kim, always good to have you on the show, though. Thank you very much. That is the excellent Kim Bayliss, chairwoman of the Crowborough Shield organisation. That they organise big protests virtually every Sunday. And they're going to keep protesting because they've had this imposed on them, like so many other communities around the country. We didn't vote for this. We shouldn't have to live like this, should we? 03444991000. Next up, we'll talk to royal biographer Angela Levin about the cost of the royals. That next. Stay tuned.
Burnham just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the way it changed. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Breaking news, folks. The Manchester airport, that vicious bully thug, Mohammed Fahir Ahmaz, 21 years old, who was found guilty of bravely attacking two female cops. He smashed PC Ellie Cook's nose all across her face, broke it. I remember the video, blood everywhere. Then he beat up PC Lydia Ward. What a guy, eh? What a guy. He can beat women up. What kind of an animal is that? What kind of a man is that? He's been given sentenced now at court to 3.5 years. He'll be out in about 2. Going to get 2 years for that. Lucy Connolly, I seem to recall, who went to jail for posting hurty words on Facebook after the Southport riots, she got 2 years and 7 months. Served quite a lot of that as well. 3.5 years for beating the hell out of 2 women cops, 2 female police officers. PC Ellie Cook, whose nose was broken, told the court she was used like a punch bag. 3.5 years? Do me a favour. That's a disgrace. So that's it, folks. In this country, if you beat up female police officers, you beat up any officer of the law, it should be a very serious sentence. But if you beat up a female officer of the law and then you don't leave it at 1, I know, I'll beat another woman up. 3.5 years? That's an absolute disgrace. 2-tier policing, 2-tier justice, folks. I think we know what's going on there, don't you? Better not say it, but I think you know what I'm talking about. I want to hear what you think about that. This guy who beat up 2 women cops, this Muslim guy, Mohammed Fahir Amaz, bully, thug, woman beater, 3.5 years. He'll be out in 2. I want to know what you think about that. 0344 499 1000. I think I may have made it clear what I think about it. I wonder what my next guest thinks about it. We're going to go through some of the big stories of the day now in a little while. Actually, we won't ask Angela Levin, but we will in a little while talk to Lord Robert Hayward, his Conservative peer and pollster, get his view on it. But I want to hear from you. 0344 499 1000. We're going to talk now, before we get back to that story, to royal biographer Angela Levin, because big royal stories today. The King published his taxes last night, or how much he paid in tax. First time a monarch has done that. So did Prince William. I believe the monarch paid something like 70 million and Prince William paid 7.7 million. And also it's been revealed that we've paid £369 million to renovate Buckingham Palace, but no member of the royal family will live there, and the sovereign grant is going to be doubled to £100 million. Look, Angela, I know you're a massive fan of the royals, and I'm a tacit fan of them. You know, I think they do great work for this country. I think they're brilliant for brand Britain. They sell us abroad like nothing else. They're the most famous family on the face of the earth, and I'm proud of that. And I do think most of them do a good job, with certain exceptions. But, I mean, £369 million for a house they're not going to live in, and £100 million a year for the sovereign grant. You know, to the question, are they good value for money? Yeah, they would be, but I don't think for that much. I think that's too much. What are your thoughts, Angela?
No, my thoughts are not yours.
I know they wouldn't. I knew they wouldn't be.
But the Buckingham Palace is enormous. There's 775 rooms there. You know, 52 for royals and guests, and 76 bathrooms. But also, more importantly, is that most of it hasn't been made any repair over since the Second World War. You know, the Queen wasn't interested in having anything done properly, so everything is in a terrible state. It was full of asbestos, which you couldn't leave. Electric plumbing hadn't been done since before the Second World War. And there were absolutely shocking things going on. You know, anything you can think of that is dangerous was happening there. So you couldn't just leave it. You'd either smash it down or leave it, and people can come and see that what a beautiful place it's going to look inside. And actually,
what's it for, though? What's it for? If there's no royal, members of the royal family, what's it for?
They won't be living there all the time, but they will have rooms where they can sleep and where they can work.
But the King's going to live across the road in Clarence House.
No, but then if they come to do some work or to discuss something, they're going to have rooms which they
Well,
can...
I'm really pleased that I've given them we taxpayers are giving them £369 million, so they've got a nice place to work. I mean, come on, Angela, that's ridiculous.
No, but I find the Buckingham Palace is absolutely amazing, and I think
it's a Victorian monstrosity.
All right, millions of people are going to come and look at it from all over the world.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I get that. Look, I'm not again. I know what the Royals do, and I do understand it's an iconic building. And you know, you and I obviously went there before. I went there many times. I'm sure you did too.
Yes.
And it was just shocking every time you stepped in front of the door. It's like, man, this place is so shabby. So it needed renovating. But I do think there are questions there. What about, so the King paid £12.9 million in tax, he revealed, for last year, 24 to 25. And William, Prince of Wales, paid £7.76 million. I mean, that's OK to tell us that, but it doesn't tell us how much they earned.
Let's just say they didn't have to say anything about this.
Well, I think they do. We pay for them.
No, but they wanted to do it. They weren't saying...
Yeah, and we know why, don't they? We know why, because they know the public want more transparency from this lot.
Yes,
they're good at surviving, and that's why they're doing this. They're not telling us this stuff from the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they have an ingrained survival mechanism.
No, I don't think
that's
so.
What it is.
No, I think that it's...
Why don't they tell us how much they earned then?
Well, because it's very difficult to do that, because they're looking after farms, they're doing all sorts of things. I don't think it's we have to know all those details.
I wouldn't mind. I'd like to know.
Do people want to know about exactly how much you're earning? No. You might have a general thing.
Yeah, but I don't get £100 million of a sovereign grant.
No, but do you know how much you have to do? You fly, you have to get clothes, you have to go on long journeys doing, immense good work.
Okay,
I think he does work very well.
Look, I'm not arguing. I'm sort of just
taking. Stand up for him. I know you do. I know. I love you dearly, but I mean, if you go to a country and he goes there, he's doing everything.
Totally. But he does a great job. He did a great job in. He did a great job in America recently. Don't get me wrong. But what's that got to do? Why do all these members of the royal family get these peppercorn rents for these magnificent mansions?
Because it was done by the Queen.
Got to stop. It's got to stop, Angela. That's got to stop.
But they're saying that's stopping. Beatrice and Eugenie will not have that anymore.
Yeah, well, what about Prince Edward? What about Prince Edward?
Prince Edward won't either. He will now...
Good.
Yes, all sorts of people will be...
And I've got a last question. Why did King Charles sell Highgrove House to the Duchy of Cornwall, effectively to his son William, and William now charges his dad $500,000 a year rent? Yes. It's a bit odd, isn't it?
I thought that was very odd.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the area, and once he became king... He was as a prince. He didn't necessarily have to pay for anything.
I just think they're getting too much. I think we need to. But listen, Angela, fantastic to talk to you as always. Megan, next time. We'll come to the break now. More news after the show.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. Lots to talk about. He's Conservative peer and pollster, Lord Robert Hayward. Welcome, Lord Hayward.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you on this show. Events, dear boy, events. Well, they don't only change politics, they change shows like mine as well. It's all happening, so I need to get your thoughts, first of all, on the fact that thug, Mohammed Fahir Amaz, the Manchester airport woman beater, he beat up 2 female cops. You remember poor PC Ellie Cook, that video, a nose smashed all across her face, blood everywhere. There he is. Look at that, punching her there. Broke her nose. He also attacked another female police officer, PC Lydia Ward. In court, PC Ellie Cook said, I was used like a punch bag. Now, he's found guilty of those 2 attacks, and he's just been sentenced, literally 5 minutes ago. He's got 3.5 years. That means he'll walk out in 2 years. I don't think that attacking any police officer violently should carry a sentence as light as that. But attacking 2 female police officers, surely 3.5 years is an insult to justice, isn't it?
It always amazes me and depresses me, like you, with the lightness of many sentences that we witness for what you and I would regard as unacceptable actions within society. And as you point out, with good behaviour, people can be released very, very soon. It is highly unlikely that he will serve anywhere near 3.5 years.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it?
And if he had pleaded guilty, he would have had another section of his sentence reduced. So it could have come down even further, probably 17, 18 months, something like that. The other message is 2 messages that I think I'm struck by. One is the lack of support that we as a society nowadays give to our police force on a general basis.
Absolutely.
And they do an incredible job day in, day out. They are subjected to all sorts of abuse in a way that they would not have been 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. And I think we have to change our approach to policing, and we have to ask policing to change to deal with what people regard as the run-of-the-mill offences, but they are offences nonetheless. Yeah. Shoplifting and all these sorts of things that one would expect to be dealt with.
But our courts of law, our justice system, should protect coppers in the course of their duty, in pursuit of their duty. And if we've got 2 women, I mean, that makes it even worse. I mean, we remember that video, that poor girl, Ellie Cook, PC Ellie Cook. I mean, it was vicious, and her nose was smashed across her face. She had to go straight to blood everywhere, and then he beat up PC Lydia Ward. Ellie Cook just said, I was used like a punch bag, and yet the sentence is just 3.5 years. Those 2 brave officers deserve better from our justice system.
And they deserve better from society and politicians like myself. So, yes, the other message to me and to society at large, particularly at large in general terms, is that the use of social media clips nowadays is a total abuse, because they regularly do not convey events as they happened. And this is a classic example where part of a clip has been used and, oh, I'm the victim, I was subjected to this, that and the other. And when the population looks at any clip, they should just ask themselves, am I looking at the whole clip or just a selected version for the benefit of a particular individual, whoever that may happen to be? And I'm not talking here purely about police versus offenders. I'm talking about general actions within society.
Social media has changed so much. It certainly has. And if you remember at Manchester Airport, there was that initial video that made it look as if a copper was sort of viciously kicking this guy in the head. And then the next video explained why he was doing that. So, you know, every picture tells a story, as it were. Now, listen, Lord Hayward, let's move on.
Please call me Robert, but
Robert, yeah, OK, well, thank you very much. Let's move on then, because this is politics, and this is a pretty bombshell development here. The former chairman, this has just happened, the former chairman of Reform UK, Dr. David Bull, formerly of this parish, he was a host, a friend of mine as well, he's a host of...
And a friend of mine.
A host of a show here. David Bull has just told Channel 5 that he thinks it's time for Nigel Farage to take a break from politics. He goes on to say the party is bigger than Nigel. The party is way bigger than Nigel. Politics is a ruthless business, and I think also one of the other things I would say to Nigel as a friend and colleague is he needs to take some time out and have a bit of a break, really. Well, that's putting it lightly. I mean, do you think that the Farage story may be coming to some sort of conclusion? I mean, earlier in the week, he did a round of interviews, and it keeps coming back to this £5 million gift he got from, is it Christopher Harborne, the crypto billionaire who lives in Thailand. And he's very sort of shifty about it. You know, what are you going to do with the money? What did you do with the money? None of your business. It's playing very badly. I know within the Reform Party, Reform UK, they're getting more and more perturbed about this. And for the former chairman, David Bull, to say it's time for him to take some time out, and that the party is bigger than Nigel, the party is way bigger than Nigel, that's a pretty explosive statement, isn't it?
There are two or three parts to that. One is, like you, David Bull's a good friend. He and I disagree politically, but he's made this observation after Nigel Farage had probably had his worst 10 days in the time since he actually stepped up in the middle of the 2024 election and said, I'm going to stand, I'm going to lead this party into Parliament. The clip that you just showed with him talking with a field as a backdrop, he made a serious error there. I don't know why it wasn't rectified in relation to the candidates, the position of the Reform candidates in the one of the by-elections, Arbroath. You referred to the 5 million, which will not go away. When he's appeared on sofas and the like, he's got incredibly touchy about it. This is not the charming, friendly, let's love you all, Nigel Farage that people have got to know. And then there's the other element, which is Reform Nigel Farage's party, which it actually is constitutionally, and is it running on him and him alone? And I think there is a serious danger that Reform, if it's stuttered somewhat in the polls in recent weeks. If he steps back, there is, I think, a serious probability that Reform will take a further hit, particularly because Kemi Badenoch is rising in the polls, her favourability is rising in the polls, so there is somebody else on the right who isn't in a position to replace Nigel Farage at this stage, but her positioning is getting better and better.
She's doing an amazing job. You know, I would point out that perhaps the Conservative Party needs a few more stars like her, but she, you know, is doing an incredible job. She's been so fantastic at PMQs lately. So, yeah, respect to Kemi. But here's another, I think, major problem for Reform UK. Let's get your thoughts, Robert. Look, Gorton and Denton, they have put up two seriously lousy by-election candidates in a row. Gorton and Denton, don't get me wrong, I'm a great admirer of Matt Goodwin. but he was the wrong man for that election. They took a solid working-class northern constituency, Gorton and Denton, and they sent up a sort of posh southern academic professor to be their candidate, and he got hammered by a local female plumber. And frankly, if you can get beaten by Hannah Spencer, you could be beaten by anybody. Now we've just had Makerfield, where the Reform UK's candidate, Robert Kenyon, it's like, is that the best you can do? Now, he was a disaster, you know, quickly revealed to have a sort of dubious social media background, but he was a terrible performer as well. We've barely heard from him. I'm not sure if he was ever on Talk or GB News or any of the other outlets where you might have expected to see a Reform candidate. So he was terrible and got hammered as well. Now, you know, Nigel Farage now said, we need a snap election, we need a snap election. Well, I don't think there will be one, but if there is one, Nigel, since in 2 single by-elections you can't find a decent candidate, how are you going to find 650 decent candidates, particularly since you seem to have a bit of a vetting problem? Do you see what I'm saying? You know, are Reform in any way ready to even think about finding 650 creditable, plausible candidates for a general election?
Having been a very heavily defeated candidate in a by-election many years ago, I know what it's like. And the 2 candidates you've just referred to, and it's part of the way Nigel Farage runs the party, they were Nigel Farage's placed men there. They were not candidates that other people chose. So the person you have to say who made the error was Nigel Farage. And so although you can criticise the candidates, you actually have to criticise Nigel Farage for making the incorrect choice in the first place. And everybody knows that the vast majority of selections of council leaders, which Reform now have in large numbers, of deputies, etc., those decisions are made by Nigel Farage, and therefore the responsibility rests fully with him if you have, to use your expression or what I paraphrase, dud candidates.
Yeah, I would have called them that if I'd have thought of that. They were dud candidates. So do you feel, look, let's be fair, I think Nigel Farage and Reform deserve huge credit. They have achieved astonishing things in a very short period of time. And they are still way ahead in the polls, ahead of both the Tories and Labour, of course. But do you feel, in the view of what we've just been talking about, the candidate problem, you know, they're still a small party. Do they have the organisation to handle a general election? It's not looking like it right now. And, of course, the £5 million issue. Do you feel we're witnessing the kind of Reform bubble bursting?
I don't think it's burst. Because for the reason you identified, Reform are still clearly ahead in the polls, despite what I described as the stuttering of recent weeks. So no question about it. It is a major influence. They did incredibly well on May the 7th in terms of local government election gains. But it is going to be subject to ever more scrutiny because of the circumstances around Nigel Farage. And as I say, the way it's constituted as a political party in his name makes it very difficult for it to continue when he has, I'll use the word substantial control over everything that happens within the party. And I do mean everything. He has got to decide where Reform is going and whether that's with him or without him.
And just a last point, old David Bull, a friend of both of ours, I haven't really spoken to him since he was suddenly dumped as the chairman, but let me put it this way, I understand he wasn't exactly thrilled. So he's gone on to Channel 5 today, which just proves to you, Robert, doesn't it, that revenge is a dish best served cold. And I think he has been served up a bit of a dish of revenge there by Bull.
There is no question that most of the people who step back within reform are a step back because they are told by Nigel Farage that they are going to step back. And I haven't spoken to David post his change of role, but I guessed it was that he would be unhappy, and therefore the interview that he's done today on a different channel comes as no surprise whatsoever.
Yeah, take that, Nigel. Very good to talk to you, Robert. Thank you very much. Come on again very soon. That's Lord Robert Hayward there, Conservative peer and pollster. Let's take a couple of calls, shall we? Because it's all going on, folks. Oh, by the way, this is from Neil. I've got to read this message because you'll see why when I get to the end of it. So we're talking about the Royals and me saying that they sell brand Britain abroad. He said, Kev, you must have heat stroke. The Royals do not sell Great Britain abroad. Well, they do. But anyway, Neil says they don't. France cut the heads off their royals and get 1 million more visitors every year. But you never read any messages out. Waste of time messaging. There you go, Neil. I read your message out. I do read messages out. I obviously haven't read yours out. I promise I'll look out for them from now on. But you cannot argue with me that the royal family do sell brand Britain around the world. Of course they do. This business of tourists, yeah, they bring tourists in, but that isn't the only reason they're worthwhile. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Karen in East Sussex. Hi, Karen.
Hiya, how you doing?
I'm good. What would you like to say?
Well, I've been listening to the Starmer tells Burnham not to lose control, and it's really
of the migrant crisis. He lost control of that a long time ago, didn't he?
Exactly. It's quite something coming from a failed minister, prime minister, who many believe never had control to begin with, and it's directed at a politician who has no national mandate to reshape how this country's run and has no clue how to do it either. It's quite literally the blind leading the blind. And meanwhile, the same agenda continues. But here's a question, look. Would Putin allow thousands of people to arrive on Russia's shores to house them, feed them, educate them, provide health care for them, welfare them? Of course he wouldn't.
He'd probably shoot them.
Well,
he'd certainly put them in the Black Lublanka or something like that. There's of course he wouldn't.
Exactly.
And nor, by the way, Karen, would most world leaders. Most leaders of countries say, no, you can't let these people in for no reason at all and then give them benefits and 4-star hotels. It's insane.
Absolutely.
I know you're in East Sussex. Are you near Crowborough?
No, I'm not. I'm near Bexhill, actually.
Oh, okay.
But look, this is the irony. If I wanted to take my dog to Europe, it needs more paperwork than some people enter in this country. And this is exactly why so many people are calling for a general election, because Labour won a large parliamentary majority, but on 33.7% of the vote, with a turnout that was lower than 60%.
Yeah.
So whether you support them or not, it's understandable now why so many feel that they want another say.
Absolutely, we're cut. This is not democracy. This is an insult to democracy. This guy, he's won the approval of about 25,000 people in Makerfield, and that's it. And he's going to be our Prime Minister on the 15th of July. No say from the people. Actually, no say from Labour MPs either. So it's absolutely extraordinary that suddenly, he called himself the King of the North. He's about to become the King of the South, the East and the West as well. And we didn't have a say in it. And we didn't have a say. We didn't. Yeah, and trust me, I think we're going to get more of the same. You know, goodbye to the old boss, say hi to the new boss. There won't be any difference. If not, it might even be worse because he's pretty left-wing. Karen, well said.
Thank
Good to
you.
talk to you. Good to talk to you. Call me again. Karen in East Sussex. Good call, that. Let's go to a break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you about the case, court case of a Bangladeshi man who raped a 12-year-old girl, an autistic girl, and also groomed a 9-year-old girl. And the prosecution lawyer came right out and said what we're all thinking about people like this. He said he lacked English moral values, and he said more. We'll talk about this after the break. Stay where you are.
Old news. On to the next. There we go. That was Andy Burnham, who just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP, and of course on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're going to talk about a Bangladeshi 20-year-old man. He's been there since he's 3 years old. He raped a 12-year-old girl and groomed a 9-year-old girl. The 12-year-old girl was autistic. He called this engaging in typical experimentation. A young man engaging in typical experimentation. The prosecutors came right out and said what we all think about these cases, bearing in mind we've imported a sex crime crisis. All these asylum seekers are committing a hugely disproportionate amount of sex crimes, sexual assaults and rapes because they come from very different cultures, countries with very different attitudes to women. Let's go over to my next guest. She's journalist Khadija Khan. Khadija, welcome to the show. We'll talk about this Bangladeshi animal in just a minute, but before we get to that, you'll be aware, breaking news, that Muslim thug Mohammed Fahir Amaz, 21 years old, was found guilty of attacking 2 female coppers at Manchester Airport, that notorious video that millions of people saw. PC Ellie Cook had her nose smashed across her face, her nose broken, blood everywhere, and then he went on to beat up PC Lydia Ward. He's quite a guy, he can really beat women up. He's very brave, isn't he? He's just been sentenced to 3.5 years. He'll be out in 2. I can't help keep thinking that Lucy Connolly got 2 years and 7 months in jail for posting hurty words on social media. 2-tier justice. Something wrong here, Khadija?
Yes, I would like to say, first of all, good riddance. But of course, as you just said, that the duration of the sentence is too small as compared to the crime he committed. I mean, he was not a victim. He attacked 2 female police officers on duty, and then he showed no remorse. He tried to gain public sympathy by subverting the reality. He was trying to play victim because he belongs to an ethnic minority community. And I think these all things, if we put them together, it makes us consider our own conscience, because we don't seem to realize the intensity of the crime. And if you compare it with those people who have been sentenced because of a post on social media, I think it is disproportionate. And a man who is beating a police officer, just imagine how would he treat those women who are not in any position of power or authority and are vulnerable. So I think it is it is a moment of consideration for us as a society.
Do you think, Khadija, a lot of people will be thinking this, do you think this was a typical case of lenience towards a Muslim, one of our Islamic community, because that's what the justice system in this country stands accused of?
I am sick of the excuses that people make for the people who are coming from an ethnic minority background. This is not just, and it is not fair with the victims. You know, this is not fair. And what we see when these excuses are based entirely on cultural practice or religious belief, and somehow they are used as mitigating factors, you know, that they should not be sentenced harshly because they are coming from a culture where it is allowed to beat a woman. Yes. Is this what they're trying to say?
Yeah, that's a really...
I mean, is this what they're trying to imply? Is this what they're trying to tell women like me, who are from the same community, that if your men are beating you, you need to put up with that because this is something legitimized or sanctioned by your cultural and religious belief? Is this what they're trying to say?
Well, a lot of people would say, yeah, that is what they're trying to say. And a lot of people would say that this is typical of our justice system, which seems to go easy on Muslims, members of our Islamic community. Let's just remind ourselves of this thug, Mohammed Fahir Amaz, standing with his brother and his lawyer outside the court, and what his lawyer had to say.
Since the 2 brothers were charged in 2024, they have been subjected to an orgy of race hate. Meanwhile, politicians such as Nigel Farage and far-right activists have operated with total impunity. Social media posts viewed by millions created a highly prejudicial atmosphere in which a lynch mob mentality that was racist, anti-Muslim, called for deportation, riots, the death penalty and the hanging of the 2 brothers if they were acquitted. Even their sister and their newborn baby were threatened. The brothers have been accused of being rapists, terrorists, drug dealers, yet they are nothing of the sort. It is a matter of public record that prior to this incident, that both Fahir Amaz and Mohammed Ahmad had never been in trouble before.
Yeah, well, let me just say that Mohammed Fahir Amar's 21 is a scumbag who beats up women. That was their lawyer outside Liverpool Crown Court, Amer Anwar. Classic race baiting. So we have every right to discuss the element of this, that the defendant, Mohammed Fahir Amaz, was a Muslim. Since his lawyer, Amir Anwar, seems to feel that that was such a central factor in his case, was it a central factor in the sentencing?
I don't think so. I mean, first of all, I would like to say that death threats are never justifiable, but criticism is legit, especially when the videos of that particular incidents were put out for the public to see. And it was natural that people are going to comment and criticize. And I'm not defending anybody who is saying bad stuff and racist stuff and bigotry, but criticism is legit in this case. The way these two men, they acted and reacted, and one of them attacked two female police officers.
Yeah, this is the one
we have a right to talk about it,
yeah.
And we have a right to say that this was wrong. And this lawyer is particularly, he's using a race card.
Disgusting, that was
card.
disgusting race baiting.
It's reprehensible. If somebody has attacked a woman from minority background, would he be saying the same thing?
No, it's disgusting race baiting. That's why we have every right to... Listen, let's... thank you for your comments on that. Let's quickly run through this case, which I think is really significant. As I said before at the beginning of our conversation, this is the story of a Bangladeshi man. He's 20 years old. His name's Tariq Mia. He's just been jailed for 15 years at Portsmouth Crown Court. Now, he raped an autistic 12-year-old girl and groomed another 9-year-old girl. He used to try to meet these girls on TikTok and Snapchat. Now, his lawyer... I'm saying this in the view of the fact that we continue to import thousands and thousands and thousands of illegal male migrants who come from very different cultures with very different attitudes to women, and it's barely a surprise that they are now responsible for a disproportionate number of sex crimes, rapes and sexual assaults. I say that while stressing the vast majority of asylum seekers, of course, are not sex criminals, but a disproportionate number of them are. So we are importing some kind of sex crime crisis. Now, this guy, Bangladeshi Tariq Mia, not a classic asylum seeker as it were. He came here at the age of 3 years old. But the prosecutor, Stephen Malloy, came right out and said it. He said that this man, Tariq Mia, lacked English moral values. And he went on to tell the court his culture may affect his attitude towards female children. That cuts to the heart of what people are worried about with all these young men that we keep importing from countries where, frankly, they do not treat women with the same respect that women are generally treated in Great Britain. Do you see what I'm saying? This guy, this prosecutor, has come right out and hit the nail on the head, I think.
You know, we are living in a society in which certain perversive cultural belief and religious belief have taken root. This person, Tariq Mia, a Bangladeshi man, moved to the UK from Bangladesh when he was only 3 years old, as you just said, meaning he grew up in Britain. He should be able to understand the values we uphold in our society, including the concept of consent and the English laws that explicitly prohibit child marriage and any sexual activity with children. For him to claim that he was just messing around or that...
Typical experimentation, he called it. Typical experimentation.
And then typical experimentation for someone his age is clearly an attempt to subvert the reality of his actions. He must have known that he was committing a crime for which he could be held accountable. And the mention of the phrase you just mentioned, his culture may affect his attitude toward female children, is both revolting and utterly reprehensible. In Bangladesh, Islam is a state religion, hence mainstream culture is misogynistic, but still the legal age for girls to marry is 18 years under the Child Marriage Restraint Act. And if we are going to question cultural influences, why not examine the environment of a closed, religiously conservative British community where he was raised? There are deep rooted patriarchal and misogynistic beliefs and traditions, customs in British Muslim communities, such as child marriage is permissible in Islam, as are sexual relations with minors under the guise of marriage, and even sexual enslavement. Then there are Sharia councils where reportedly women are exploited and bullied into giving up their rights, all to uphold Sharia jurisprudence. This is all happening in Britain. Yeah. This culture is here in Britain.
This guy,
why not we exactly?
Yeah, this guy, as you say, Khadija, he told the court that grooming and raping a 12-year-old autistic girl, grooming another 9-year-old girl, was typical experimentation for a man of his age. Well, I don't want to decry or demean Bangladesh, but it may be typical behaviour for a 20-year-old man there, but it isn't here. And we have a problem with all these guys that come from all these different cultures and countries who do not understand that we respect women here, at least we try to, and they don't, it seems to me. Khadija, I've got to move on because we had to squeeze in that other story, but thank you for your comments on both those shocking stories. Brilliant Khadija Khan, journalist there. Now, breaking news, Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, can it get any worse for this awful woman? Turns out she visited Jeffrey Epstein twice when he was in jail for paedophile sex crimes. Great, isn't it? Well done, Fergie. Maybe talk a bit more about that in just a little while. Let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the NHS. You know that, Paul, it was this time last week, wasn't it? Extraordinary story. I remember breaking it and going, well, it's not every day you break a story like this. And it was that a 3-year-old boy had been randomly thrown into the crocodile pen at a zoo in Cambridgeshire. It turns out that was literally by a random madman who was on a sort of a kind of day trip from whatever asylum or whatever it is he was being held in. So there's questions to be asked there, but that's not the point. So the poor little kid is still fighting for his life. He broke his pelvis and arm being thrown into the pen because he landed on concrete, and then a saltwater crocodile grabbed hold of him. Saltwater crocodiles have got the strongest bite in all the animal kingdom and sort of treated him like a toy teddy bear and hurled him into the air. So he's got serious bite wounds as well. The kid is fighting for his life. We wish him all the best, and our thoughts, of course, are with his poor family. During this last week, while that kid has been battling to survive, more than 40, we think, NHS health workers have accessed his medical files. Could that be they're looking to flog details to the media? I don't know. More than 40, though. That's something not right there. We'll talk about that next. Stay where you are.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest, former NHS Trust Chairman Martin Gower. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, Kevin. Good to see you again.
Always a pleasure. Now, this story is extraordinary. You know, the nation was gripped, shocked indeed, by that poor little kid 1 week ago, literally today, being picked up by what it turned out to be literally a madman, a sort of mentally disabled guy who was out on a carer's trip to the zoo. Whoever took him there has to think about security, I think, in future. But he broke free from his carers, picked up this poor little 3-year-old boy who was at the zoo with his family and chucked the kid into the crocodile pen. There's a lot of crocodiles, 25 crocodiles in there or something. Now, the kid broke his pelvis and arm, landing on concrete, and then was picked up by a saltwater crocodile, which apparently has the strongest bite in all the animal kingdom, and treated the kid like a plaything and chucked him into the air. Very, very brave zookeeper, a lady, ran in and saved the kid. What a hero she is. I think she deserves a medal, the George Cross or something. That kid has been fighting for his life over the last 7 days, and we wish him and his family well, of course. Turns out that more than 40 NHS workers have accessed his medical files. Now, you know what we're all thinking there, and I suspect we'll be right. I think these are NHS staff who think, if I can get a few details on this kid who was all over the front pages, I can make a few quid flogging those details to the media. Either way, this sort of saga has to be cracked down on. How can 40 NHS workers access this little boy's medical records?
Well, I must admit, I reached the same conclusion as you, Kevin, having also been somebody who worked in the media most of his life. And you know, it just is extraordinary that should happen. But it's not extraordinary that patient records should be looked at by people who have no authority to look at them. It's estimated in the last few years, 1,400 infringements of patient record details have been registered. And how does it happen? Because these should be very, very well protected. I mean, my goodness me, this is about your healthcare. I had a minor issue recently where letters from a local hospital that were giving me some treatment for something started being sent to my address of 11 years ago. So letters were arriving with my patient appointment details to somebody who lived in a house that I lived in 11 years ago.
Welcome to the NHS, Martin. You should know that.
Well, it's sort of here we go again, isn't it? Yeah. Always. And what I find extraordinary is in the statements that the Trust made in Cambridge, they were saying things like this happened quite recently and we sacked 5 people because of it. So this seems this is something that's quite frequent in that particular trust. It's the lack of control. It's the culture they have there. My suspicions will be somebody around the IT systems, somebody who's responsible for dealing with the IT, who will probably know the way into the patient details. That would be my suspicion. I've no evidence of that.
But what we need here, Martin, I think you would agree, the NHS has got to look at this. If more than 40 NHS workers have managed to have a look at this kid's medical records over just 7 days, then it's quite clear that access to private medical records of all patients is too easily achieved.
Yes. Now, you would assume that the system that NHS hospitals use is common to at least the vast majority of the hospitals, but it's not. That you will find there's different systems in different places, and we know that the most important thing is security, so that that patient presumably a paediatrician was looking after the patient, and maybe somebody in orthopedics, as he'd broken his pelvis in juvenile infant orthopedics, and maybe a couple of nurses. But I can't see any reason why more at that stage, while he's in the hospital, I can't see any reason why more than sort of 4 or 5 people, properly password protected. You know, you go up a level in it. It's not just all the patient records you access. You can only access the patients that you're dealing with. There's a code to enter. It's changed every week, but it's not, isn't it? Is it? It's clearly not. The security is rubbish.
Well, that hospital has got questions to answer, and it ought to have a serious investigation right now and crack down on this. I used to work in America for 10 years, and I mean, hospital staff selling private medical details was a major cottage industry, to say the least. And as a member of the media here, Martin, I can tell you it goes on quite a lot in Britain as well. So something should be done. I feel so sorry for that poor little kid, and of course, to borrow a terrible cliche, but I think it's apposite in these circumstances, our thoughts are with him and his family.
Absolutely.
Martin, fantastic to talk to you. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much. Martin Gower, former NHS Trust chairman. What do you think about that? That kid's private medical records are like all comers having a might have been a flog that. 03444 991 1000. Next up, we'll talk to Director of Sport of the Sun newspaper, Sean Custis. He's over there in New York. We'll get his latest take on what's happening with the World Cup. So that next. Stay tuned.
Burnham just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was 2 things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to New York. So good they named it twice, but they only named this guy once. His name is Sean Custis. He's the Director of Sport at The Sun. Sean, now you were at the darts last night. We talked about Ecuador, Germany. Quite a shock. Ecuador beat them. What do you make of that?
It was. Ecuador played very well. Germany, of course, were through, but it won't do much for the Germans' confidence. I was expecting them to win, and Ecuador, really fine performance, and featuring a player who, it's hard to remember when he was last playing in the Premier League, called Enner Valencia, who was playing up front, and he's 36 years old, and he's still going strong. Used to be at West Ham, and they did very, very well. So top marks to them.
I mean, people are talking about these South American teams, Ecuador. I can't help remembering Panama's not far from Ecuador, is it?
Come on,
so what are they going to be like?
We beat them 6-1 in 2018. It was a comfortable victory. I know they look a little bit stronger this time around for tomorrow night, but 7 of that squad from 2018 are actually in this squad here in 2026. So it would suggest they haven't progressed that much. And if England have got problems against Panama, we might as well pack up and go home. There are a few issues. Reece James having not trained for 2 days running, but we do have the players who can cope. And you know, he might mix it up a little bit. I don't think it would be a bad thing to mix it up, give other players a chance. Of course, the side issue to all of this going on with England is this Elliot Anderson transfer, which is quite staggering, isn't it, really?
Man City for about £800 million or something.
£116 million. When he left Newcastle 2 years ago for £35 million, it might have been handy if we put a sell-on clause in there, because his value has certainly rocketed. Now, whether you think a defensive midfielder should really be worth £116 million is a moot point, but of course, a lot of them have moved for big money. They make the team tick. You've got Caicedo, who moved for over 100 million. Enzo Fernandez moved for over 100 million. Declan Rice, who was considered a defensive midfielder at the time, and maybe you'd think is more attacking now. Big money as well for him. So it's the standard rate for a good defensive midfield player.
I think it's also the standard rate for these extremely rich football teams like Man City and Arsenal, and that sort of sets up a kind of a two-tier culture, doesn't it? Even in the Premier League, there are these big teams at the top with mountains of money, and then the smaller teams, you know, like Fulham, you know, can't afford these kind of players. Do you see what I mean?
How did you get Fulham into this, Kevin? How did you manage to get Fulham?
I kind of get Fulham into any conversation. Let's talk about Harry Wilson going to Leeds. No, we won't, seriously. But seriously, you know, it's the big money clubs are, you know, in a sense, if Man City decide, oh, Elliot Anderson, he's not worth it, but we got the money anyway, let's get him. Same deal. These clubs can do this, and the lower tier clubs can't.
They can, and also Man City don't seem to be too bothered about the pending 115 charges, which has been going on since you and I were writing at the Sunday People, Kevin. It's been that long ago. It's staggering that they can still carry on spending that money with no worries about that problem at all. The other thing is, in previous World Cups, previous England camps, it was a no-no to do transfer deals while you were on England duty. You couldn't get into them. It had to be sorted before you went away, or it was sorted when you went back. Now it seems to go on while you're at the tournament, which some people think is a bit of a distraction. I'm not sure whether Elliot Anderson mentally it'd affect him very much. It's a good boost, isn't it?
To know put a spring into his step, won't it? With a few quid in his pocket, isn't it?
I'm not sure you should be conducting this business during the World Cup, but hey, the world's moved on. These things are different nowadays.
Well, indeed. What games should we look out for? Well, apart from the big one tomorrow night.
Norway v France tonight. I really fancy. I think that's very tasty tonight.
Yes, that is a great game. Yeah.
Norwegian fans have captured everybody's imagination. They've been
rowing thing, it's great, isn't it?
We were in amongst them the other night, and they're brilliant. I love them, and of course France are a great side. But Norway, while not a great side, they have one of the greatest strikers, and you can never discount them, and they're doing pretty well in this tournament. There's quite a lot of games going on tonight, but of course back in England, there's a couple at 4 a.m, New Zealand, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and at 1 a.m, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay v Spain. So there's a lot going on today to keep an eye on.
Indeed. Now, on the basis, I'll accept your superior sporting knowledge and agree with you that England probably will beat Panama. So if we do that, it's next Wednesday we play our first round game. Who will we play in all likelihood?
All sorts of things are possible. We'll play a third place team, and that's not sorted out yet. A lot of things are still to be decided this evening, but it should be hopefully a straightforward game, but it's not all sorted yet.
Is there any chance we could get Scotland?
No, I think they will definitely be knocked out, Kevin. They're still hanging on by the skin of the teeth, but I think you'll see them flying back home by tomorrow night.
If they'd have held, is it a goal difference thing?
Yeah. I mean, it would have been handy had they only lost 1-0 to Brazil.
Exactly, that's what I'm asking.
They would have had a better chance, but I don't think they deserve to still be in it. I don't think they played very well. Look, the fans are great. We know that, but the team isn't. It's not that strong.
That's what you have to say. What you have to say about Scotland is, fantastic off the pitch. The Tartan Army, just phenomenal. Also, when they sing their national anthem at the games, it's just awe-inspiring. It really is. So they're fantastic off the pitch, not so good on it.
This might be a bit controversial, but isn't their national anthem "God Save the King"? Yeah.
Wow, they got this. They got their own one, haven't they? Don't you tell the Tartan Army that, seriously.
Borough Scotland is fairly stirring, I'll grant you.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I'm sorry they've not really performed on the pitch. Very sad for them. But what's your next game that you're off to, Sean?
Sorry, I missed that, Kevin.
What's the next game you're off to in New York?
It's England tomorrow for me, Kevin.
Of course.
Meanwhile, we'll be recording our proper football daily show every day on the Sun, which I know you're watching avidly.
Yeah. Let me, of course, and all the, access, everybody, buy the Sun newspaper, access their website. It's fantastic coverage, TV shows, interviews, everything is all there. How are the England fans behaving?
Well, they were great last night down at the Darts. There was a good raucous atmosphere, but very well behaved, and we had some great fun. Former England player David Bentley was down there as well in all his finery. He was very dressed up for the occasion. So fair few people down there, and it was good darts as well. Luke Littler was playing last night. Luke Humphreys, Gerwyn Price, Johnny Clayton, all big names. Stephen Bunting, and it was good entertainment.
Excellent. Well, listen, I know you're working. I
enjoyed it.
I know you're working very hard out there, all of you guys from the Sun, but you're also having the time of your life, aren't you?
Well, I do like a night out at the Darts, I must admit.
Yeah, and a night out.
Regretted it slightly when we had to come back and record the show after I had
a couple of drinks. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Sean, enjoy the match tomorrow night, and we'll talk next week. All the best. Sean Custis, Director of Sport at The Sun. Next up, we'll be going through some of the big stories of the day, so stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just to reiterate what I said earlier, can things get any worse? Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, the former wife of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor when he was a prince, Prince Andrew. It turns out that she visited convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein twice while he was in prison. He was jailed. He was in jail during 2008 and 2009 for about a year. Went to jail in June 2008, came out in 2009, July. He, while he was in jail, he invented this sort of fake office and a business, and it was was allowed to go to this office every day to conduct his business. Sarah Ferguson visited him there twice. While he was serving his paedophile jail sentence. Also, while he was at this office, yeah, you guessed it, Peter Mandelson, Lord Mandelson, phoned Epstein at the office and video called him there on one occasion while Mandelson was staying in the billionaire paedophile's New York mansion. This has been uncovered by The Telegraph. These people. It's disgusting. It makes your flesh crawl, doesn't it? Right, let's move on. Let's go over to my next guest. He's former Conservative MP Nick Fletcher. Hello, Nick.
Hello there.
First of all, let me get your take or your thoughts on the fact that thug, the Manchester airport thug, Mohammed Fahir Ahmaz, 21 years old, he was found guilty some time ago of attacking two female cops, beating up two female cops. Very brave of him, quite a guy. He smashed, if you remember, poor Ellie Cook, PC Ellie Cook's nose all across her face, blood everywhere. He then went on to beat up PC Lydia Ward. So he beat up two female police officers at Manchester Airport while they were pursuing the course of their duty. He's finally been sentenced at Liverpool Crown Court. He got 3.5 years. He'll be out in 2. So that's what we give people, do we? For beating up female police officers. I think there should be much more serious sentences for beating up any police officers. But if it's a great big bloke beating up two female WPCs, then that sentence should be amplified, it should be multiplied, it should be huge. It should be 10 years minimum, if you ask me. That guy's going to be out on the streets in 2 years. Your thoughts about that extraordinary lenient sentence?
I think it's terrible. I mean, I saw the video, we all saw the video of these WPCs, their faces smashed in. I mean, what kind of a man does that? I mean, I know these days everything's equality in the stand of the book. Everybody knows. Everybody's brought up with the decency that you never, ever hit women. And when you see that lady's face all smashed up, it was just an absolute disgrace. I mean, we really ought to be coming down hard on these individuals. A 21-year-old man smashing a woman's face in like that is absolutely disgraceful, and we must ask for a harsh sentence on this. But what's even more important is that they actually serve the sentences that they're being given. I mean, we're finding out this week that we're letting off different people, aren't we, at different shorter sentences, letting killers and rapists and all different kinds of people leave prison far, far too early. And so when this chap goes in there, how long will he stay in there for? Will it be 2 years? It might only even be a year. It's disgraceful. So we need to look at this, and we need to make sure that I mean, there's a real deterrent there. Like you say, 10 years for smashing a PC's face in. I don't think that sounds too harsh. You wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Why on earth should we let somebody else do it?
Yeah, and you just look at this, that you can see this, if you're watching on TV, folks, you can just see that moment as he punches poor Ellie Cook, who told the court that she felt like she was being treated like a punch bag. Now, there's two elements to this, Nick. You know, any man who beats up women should receive a serious sentence. But if those women that he beats up happen to be police officers, female police officers, going about their duty, that sentence should be very heavy. I would suggest, you know, I would have questions even if it was 10 years, but I'd accept 10 years. But 3.5, do me a favour.
And as I say, it's the fact that we all know he won't serve anywhere near that. He could quite easily be out within 18 months. And that, what message does that send to people who think it's okay to do that? What message does it send?
Yeah.
That's the problem with all this, and there's no justice there for these WPCs, for these police officers. There's no justice there for them, and what message does it send?
Yeah, exactly right. And police officers, be they female or male, should be protected by our justice system. This proves we have a justice system that doesn't protect them. You saw that video, both these brothers, bam, 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 smashing the hell out of coppers. So the net result of that huge punch-up, 2 guys beating the hell out of coppers. One of them gets 3.5 years, the other one gets acquitted. There's something wrong here, and certainly, you're quite right, Nick, somebody must challenge this sentence for Mohammed Fahir Amaz, because it's way too lenient. I've got to ask you the awkward question here. Two-tier justice. Do you think that this guy got a light sentence because he's a Muslim? It wouldn't be the first time that our justice system has gone easy on members of our Islamic community.
Well, you can understand why people may think that, whether it's true or not, and I don't particularly know. I can't say I've studied other cases on other people from different ethnic backgrounds, whether they've been given a harsher sentence for hitting a PC in the face. What I do know is that the sentences that we saw for people saying hurty words when they wanted to make sure that our streets were safe, and they don't think they are safe, and we've got people who are not from this country wandering around the street. Apparently we've got 50,000 immigrants and we don't know where they are.
Yeah, 1,200 of them are convicted criminals. Good, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is what we need to do. I mean, we need to compare apples with apples, but when we're looking at what people have been sentenced with for saying hurty words on social media, and then we see that there, you can understand why the people of this country are so upset, and you can understand why people believe there is two-tier policing.
Yeah, I mean, last point about this, Lucy Connolly, as you alluded to, a mum in Northampton gets 2 years and 7 months for posting hurty words on Facebook after the Southport riots. 2 years and 7 months for a few not very nice words, but it's just words on social media. This guy who beat up 2 female coppers gets a slightly longer sentence, 3.5 years. That is two-tier justice in a nutshell, isn't it? And we have a Prime Minister, or current Prime Minister, who continues to tell us there is no such thing as two-tier policing, two-tier justice. That is just a pile of crap, isn't it?
It's well, you just can't believe it, and everybody sees it. The problem is with all this that we talk about, and we keep on talking about it, and people are talking about it in the pubs, and people are talking about it in the worst, and we're talking about it in the media, but it doesn't seem to make any difference to those who are actually setting policy and those who can actually do anything about it. They just seem to think that we are all talking nonsense, and they can't see what's directly in front of them. And even if they didn't believe it, they should at least look into it and find out why so many people are upset. Because if they don't, we're going to end up in a really, really poor place.
Exactly right. We need something to be done. By the way, I want to ask you about Mike Tapp in just a little while. But what do you make of the fact that the Labour Party are very pleased because, you know, they've got this problem. They're a bit dinosauric about women, aren't they? You know, women are all right. You can make them cabinet secretaries, but you can't have them as a leader or a prime minister. God, no, they're only women. But anyway, the Labour Party is now saying no, that problem is over because we've got our first female Prime Minister in the offing, and that's Andy Burnham, who I thought was a man, but apparently not. They think they've said he's so sensitive to female issues that it's the equivalent of having our first female leader. Labour Party still can't tell the difference between a man and a woman. All of us thinking that Andy was short for Andrew. Apparently it's short for Andrea. I mean, what's wrong with these idiots?
It just shows what is going to happen when Andy Burnham takes over, if he actually does take over. I read a report today that said he thought it was a minority opinion that only biological males should go into women's spaces. I mean, it's just an absolute disgrace. We're just led by fools, and I just cannot understand it. I keep on saying the same thing to you. We're discussing it. Everybody's discussing it in the workplaces. They're discussing it in the pubs. And yet the people that can make the policy and actually make a stand against this and really protect our women and girls by keeping biological males out of single-sex women's spaces, they just don't want to do anything about it. They just seem to let it go by. And I cannot understand why they're doing this. I just cannot understand. I mean, I put posts out on this quite regularly, and I get an awful lot of negative comments on it. But the amount of likes that I get on that post, people are scared to agree with me, but they do like the post. And people are out there, and they're gradually coming over because it's not transphobic, it's not homophobic, it's not any of these things. It's trying to keep girls and ladies safe and trying to obviously... You know what I mean?
These people, Nick, these Labour, they're just ideologues. They're led by their ideology and they...
I think they're led by the wind. I genuinely do believe they're led by the wind. I think they say one thing to one audience and one thing to another so much of the time. And that's... You cannot have a leader that's like that. You cannot have one.
Yeah, well, you know that joke about Andy Burnham, don't you? A Corbynite, a Blairite and a Starmer walks into a pub and the landlord said, "What would you like to drink, Mr. Burnham?" Let's now move on to a guy that a lot of people say is the biggest idiot in Parliament, against stiff opposition, I'll say that. I couldn't possibly comment, of course. I'm talking about the MP for Dover and Deal, Mike Tapp. He's also the immigration officer and immigration minister, and right now I think he's palpably disrespecting his boss, the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. Shabana Mahmood wants to fire him because he wrote a piece in the Times newspaper saying that foreign care workers should be exempted from Mahmood's migrant visa crackdown. She didn't know about this piece. She says that's not our policy. You know, you've broken the ministerial code, you disrespected me, I want to fire you. Keir Starmer, who's sulking, particularly with Shabana, because Shabana told him to go, he won't ratify that. So Mike Tapp is still in situ. But I just want to show you the tenor of the man. Here's a couple of videos that our friend Mr. Tapp, by the way, the first one, I think I can say this now, I took the piss out of him on social media and he blocked me about it. So, here's two videos that our supersonically brilliant intellectual immigration minister Mike Tapp made. Here's the first one.
In just 9 months, we've deported record numbers and we're pushing new counter-terror powers through Parliament to dismantle the smuggling gangs at the source.
And they will have new counter-terror powers to better monitor, track and disrupt criminal gang activity.
While others shout, we've been working. We're building international relations, leading to influence, to change laws in France to stop the boats in shallow waters. This is a serious plan, but it takes time, and there is more to come.
We all want to see an end to dangerous small boat crossings.
Now don't let anyone trick you into thinking it's simple. They're not being honest.
That's the first video. I think that's a man who actually deludes himself he could be Prime Minister. It's the music that makes me laugh. Here's Mike again on...
Scooby, look, we're focused on delivery. Have you not seen the economy's growing despite international pressures? Inflation's down. In the Home Office, we're focused on creating an immigration system that functions. Deportation and removals are up. The backlog for casework has halved. We're moving people out of hotels. We've got record immigration, arrests for illegal working. And because we're a compassionate nation, we're creating safe and legal routes. That's what we're focused on. So I'm going to go and run with Scooby.
Do you know that the funny thing about that second video, Nick, is that's not his dog. He nicked it from someone apparently. Just took it. No, I made that bit up. But what an idiot! What an absolute idiot! But he has now written in the Times, "It's my strong belief that those who come to the United Kingdom on care worker visas, blah, 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 should not be required to have to wait longer to apply for settlement." That's against government policy. Mahmood believes he's freelancing on policy, has broken the ministerial code, and, of course, has disrespected her. And he's said on, he tweeted about this. She's gone to the Prime Minister. Keir Starmer's now sulking. He's trying to screw everybody up, so he won't ratify her request to dismiss TAP. By the way, TAP was a sort of pathetic Starmer loyalist, as you just saw. So TAP has put on X, on Twitter, it's gone from "he broke the ministerial code" to "he stole my idea. I have put my views across on policy I've been working on for months." Brackets, "I have receipts," close brackets. I don't know what that means. In an op-ed in the Times. Give it a read and let's continue to discuss. I won't be intimidated to drop my views. And then, bizarrely, he signs off with "stay classy." Here's another social media post he put on X that he swiftly deleted. Wonder why? It was this. The attempted intimidation of me is quite a sight. He's a former soldier, by the way. He said, "I've seen off the Taliban and taken out terrorists. Country first, always." Now, Keir Starmer won't ratify the dismissal of this moronic big head. And he should, shouldn't he? This is outrageous.
Oh, look, I mean, it's not that many weeks ago that the Home Secretary was undermining the Prime Minister by saying that she needed him to step down, and she went to the papers about that, I believe.
Which is why Starmer's not backing her now.
Which is why Starmer's not backing her now. The thing is, with all this that's happening, I mean, it plays for us to have these conversations, and I suppose in some ways it's entertaining. But in the meantime, this country is literally on a downward cycle at the moment. We've got more and more people coming into this country with low-level skills that we don't necessarily need anymore, and we've got all the people with money leaving. And then we've got a Home Secretary and a Minister and a Prime Minister that are just an absolute laughingstock. And this is the problem that we've got. There's no leader, there's no agenda, there's no authority running through, and unfortunately this country is suffering.
And we now officially, if there's no challenge to Andy Burnham's leadership bid, he could become Prime Minister just at 1 minute past 6 p.m. on July the 15th. We've just heard this afternoon, Nick, that the changeover, the handover, will actually happen on July the 20th. So that's when the King of the North becomes the King of the whole country. I use the term king specifically because there's no democracy involved in his coronation, because that's what it is. Meanwhile, Keir Starmer keeps saying, I'm going to make sure there's an orderly succession of doing all I can to help. No, he's not. He's behaving like a petulant teenager. Andy Burnham said, "Could you give me till September so I can prepare properly?" "No, I'm going!" Also, Andy Burnham said, "Let me have a look at defence." "No, I'm going to publish my defence investment plan. Can't get out of that." And now he won't back Shabana Mahmood to sack this idiot Mike Tapp, because Shabana Mahmood was one of the cabinet secretaries who said to him, "You better go, Keir." And also, Andy Burnham's a bit of a fan of Shabana Mahmood. She's likely to stay as Home Secretary. So what we're getting here is a sulky teenage temper tantrum from our pathetic Prime Minister, who everybody says is a very nice man, decent man. He's not. I think he's a petulant child.
Well, it's obviously proving that point, isn't it? And we don't have to say these things. The country can see it, can't they? And that's exactly my biggest concern with all this is that people are actually expecting something different from Andy Burnham, and they're not going to get anything different. Literally no different. He's a socialist through and through. They'll put socialist policies. They'll keep on taxing and taxing and taxing the people that create jobs, create wealth, and the people who are actually out there working, and they'll keep on giving our benefits away. With the ideology, the net zero will continue, the continual diversity and equality and inclusion nonsense that is creating so much havoc across this country, that will continue. It'll keep on taking the side of the minority while not listening to the majority. And unfortunately, I can see as we might have a little bit of a blip, and Andy
Burnham bounce, yeah. Won't last long. Won't last long.
That, but 3 months, 6 months' time, we'll be in exactly the same position as we are now. There's nobody prepared to take the decisions that need to be made. This country's in an extremely dangerous position financially, with safety on the streets and obviously on our borders, and no one is prepared to take the decisions that need to be taken. It's as simple as that. And Andy Burnham will not do it.
Yeah, and by the way, all those people are kidding themselves that there might be a snap general election. There won't be, because Labour would lose.
They won't let go of power. They will not let go of it.
If there was one, Nick, theoretically, because there won't be one, but if there was one, would you stand again as a Tory candidate? Say yes. Say yes. We need more people like.
Yeah, I'd love to. Look, it's very difficult. It's a difficult position to be in at this moment in time. The Conservative Party, I think in 3 years' time, I think Kemi's doing a fantastic job.
Agreed.
She's gradually pulling things round. I think the populist vote will actually see what it is and will gradually move forward. But if Kemi continues on the trajectory that she's on at the moment, and she sticks to these policies like I believe that she will, I actually do trust her in what she's actually saying. If she governed like she's speaking now, this country could actually really start taking off.
Turn things around.
That she could.
I agree. Turn things around. It needs to be turned around, because we've hit rock bottom, and I think this is just the beginning. Things can only get worse. Nick, great to have you on the show. Come on again soon. Nick Fletcher, former Conservative MP. Straight talking there from good guy, Nick. Like him a lot. So let's go to break. When we come back, talking about straight talking, I'm going to play you one of the funniest political speeches you'll hear in a long time. It's from a guy called Malcolm Offord. He's the Reform UK leader in Scotland, an MSP up there, a Scottish MP, and he made a speech to the Holyrood Parliament, which really ticked off all of the the SNP MPs. You see them scowling away in the background. And it's very, very funny. We'll play you that and then get your thoughts. So that next, stay exactly where you are.
Andy Burnham just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, a couple of days ago, I described my next guest as our go-to man north of the border, and he still is. So we're going over to the political correspondent of the Sunday Times and the Times in Scotland, John Boothman. Hi, John.
How you doing, Kevin?
Before we talk, this is one of the funniest political speeches I've ever seen. This is the Reform UK leader, Malcolm Offord, speaking in Holyrood, suggesting that the hoard of tat that Peter Murrell, Nicola Sturgeon's estranged husband, purchased from the £400,000 that he embezzled from the SNB should be turned into a sort of national treasure that you should call the Murrell collection. The funny thing about this speech, apart from the fact it's funny in itself, is if you look at the faces of the politicians in the background, I'm assuming they're SNP, they don't find it at all funny. Let's watch Malcolm Offord's speech in its entirety and then we'll get your thoughts. Take it away, Mr. Offord.
The items bought by Peter Murrell with money stolen from the SNP are now part of Scotland's political history, and this saga will be taught to future generations of Scotland's children. Will the First Minister arrange for as many items as can be found to be gathered together and displayed as the Murrell collection? Will he also arrange for some items to be gifted to Scotland's museums and galleries as permanent exhibitions and a tribute to SNP governance? Can I suggest that the fountain pen, which Nicola Sturgeon used to sign her resignation letter, should go to the People's Palace to become the People's Pen? Or similarly, the two toilet seats could go to Perth to sit alongside the Stone of Destiny, or the £3,000 coffee machine could sit beside the Declaration of Arbroath to show how political priorities have changed. Will he encourage the people of Scotland to write to us with their proposals? We cannot allow for these items to be auctioned to the highest bidder, who will take them into private collections abroad. So does he agree with me that this part of Scotland's history must not be lost?
So, John, who are those politicians in the background there who are acting as if Malcolm Offord's making a speech suggesting the mass murder of babies or something? I mean, have they got no sense of humour at all? I mean, that's funny, isn't it?
Well, people in the SNP, and that's who they were. That was the mass tranks of the 57 SNP MSPs who were not having... There's an expression we have in Scotland about people having faces like a burst couch. They were not happy people at all. I have to say, when I heard that yesterday, I wondered where would we put the 108 toilet rolls that he bought, but that's another matter. Look, Malcolm Offord yesterday, it's been quite interesting watching Reform in this. Reform haven't actually said very much about the Murrell-Sturgeon issue, partly because they haven't had a platform in Scotland. You know, only recently, until that Scottish election there in May, they had one seat in the Parliament, but they're now 17 seats. They're second equal in size with the Labour Party opposing the SNP, so they have a real platform now. And yesterday, Malcolm Offord used that platform, as you saw. The truth is, though, of course, that lots of these items, most of these items in that big long list of hundreds of them, have never been recovered and won't be recovered. And when we get to September, when Peter Murrell appears once again in court, basically his pension. He's got pension provision, the share that he has in his marital home. These are the things that the Crown will turn to in order to get compensation, which should first go to the state, unless, of course, there's a compensation order comes from the SNP.
Yeah, now, I mean, John Swinney, the SNP leader, and the party are sort of rejecting the idea of an inquiry into what Murrell got up to, and indeed Nicola Sturgeon's alleged involvement or her alleged knowledge of it. She denies any knowledge of it, but there are serious allegations that that is it's a statement that's very difficult to believe. So they're trying to sort of sweep this under the carpet and saying, let's move on. But it's a very difficult issue to just park and say we won't bother with that anymore. I do think the SNP owe all those good people who donated their hard-earned money to the party only for it to be spent on, coffee machines and £2,000 salt and pepper grinders. The SNP owe those people more than just, well, that's it, forget it, we're moving on. They owe those people a proper inquiry, don't they?
Kevin, there's so many strands in this, right? That position of an inquiry, John Swinney steadfastly saying no. However, you may have heard Keir Starmer the other day saying the SNP have still got questions to answer. The Scottish Select Committee are still looking at this whole issue. So that could actually, any inquiry could be carried out at Westminster, which would probably end up being worse for the SNP than if they carried out an inquiry at Holyrood. So that's one aspect of it. This week we've seen the spectacle of two of the women who resigned from the Finance Committee of the SNP back then in 2021 because Murrell and the SNP executive would not give them access to any of the files. There was no transparency about where the money was going. These women, brave women, who would have given evidence in a trial had it taken place before Murrell pled guilty, speaking really publicly for the first time, saying this week that they were bullied, they were intimidated, they were ostracised, and that partly forced their resignation, and, in quite a dignified way, raised all these issues, including what you say about why is it all those small donors, with their fivers and their tenors and their coffee mornings and all the things that people raise for political parties, why is it that these people have not been compensated? And off the back of that, when John Swinney was confronted with what these women were saying and asked to apologise to these two women specifically, he simply refused to do so. So it's got a long way to go.
It's certainly, this story's not over, and it's not over for Nicola Sturgeon either. Just a quick question to you. Another interesting Scottish story this week. Lara Bird, the new MP for SNP MP in Westminster for Arbroath and Broughty Ferry, of course, notoriously, famously crossed her fingers while swearing her oath of allegiance to the King, which all MPs in the House of Commons had to do, but she's a revolutionary, you see, doesn't believe in monarchy, so she crossed her fingers and then said, apologies if this is a bad Scottish, something along that line, my allegiance is to the people of Arbroath and Broughty Ferry. And then we found some video of her a couple of weeks ago saying it's very terrible the way that Britain treats the people of Palestine. So she's got two accents, which is kind of weird. She's suddenly Scottish. So SNP say, look, she's half English, half Scottish. Doesn't excuse or explain her having two accents. My question to you is, and by the way, her real name is not Lara Bird, it's Pyla Lara Bird Leakey. Now, if she campaigned, saying, vote for me, I'll help you, I'll go down to Westminster and I'll look after your interests, I'll represent you, and it turns out that that's not her accent, isn't she guilty of misrepresenting herself to the good people of Arbroath and Broughty Ferry? Isn't there an electoral issue here, electoral fraud?
I don't know if it's electoral fraud, but I mean, look, it does seem rather curious that she's got a different accent when she's in Scotland to the one that she's got when she's in England, right? And that is as a result. We've been trying to look into her background this week. She was brought up in Kirriemuir. She went to a private school in Dundee, then went to Sheffield to university. Then I think one of the London universities. Until recently, she joined the Middle Temple, being a qualified lawyer last year. I think she was speaking with an English accent for all of those years, and now has appeared back in Scotland, and her accent's changed. Which, look, if nothing else, it's caused a great deal of mirth and amusement, right, to most of us.
Yeah, she's a pro-Palestine fanatic, of course. She's a pro-Palestine fanatic when she's English, but is much more interested in Scottish issues when she's Scottish. What a strange woman. Can I get you on something else? Just a general political question. This has been unfolding before our very eyes this afternoon, John, down here in London. It's the story of Mike Tapp, the immigration minister, who, against stiff opposition, many people believe is probably the stupidest man in Parliament. He's currently the immigration minister. He's disrespected and, according to Shabana Mahmood, broken the ministerial code by writing a piece in the Times, in your newspaper, saying that foreign care workers should be exempted from Shabana Mahmood's migrant visa crackdown. Shabana says, well, that's not our policy. You're freelancing on policy. You didn't tell me about it. That breaks the ministerial code. You've disrespected me. I want to sack you. She goes to Keir Starmer, who's in the middle of the biggest political sulk since Ted Heath, says, look, I want to sack this guy. Tapp is a crazed Starmer loyalist, and Starmer won't sack him. Downing Street spokesman has just said, it is not for any individual Secretary of State to determine whether the ministerial code has been followed. It is a matter for the Prime Minister alone. Mike Tapp has been reminded of his obligations under the ministerial code, including collective responsibility and procedures relating to the clearance and presentation of government policy. Would this be Keir Starmer behaving like a petulant child because last week Shabana Mahmood was one of the cabinet secretaries who went to see him and said, you got to go. And also Shabana Mahmood is a big favourite of Andy Burnham. So this is Keir Starmer screwing Shabana Mahmood up. Either way, I think she's got a point. And that he should go. But Starmer, this is extraordinary. This government is just falling apart at the seams, isn't it?
It just shows very, very simply and very clearly what I think we really know now and have known for a good number of weeks, that the Prime Minister has absolutely no authority whatsoever. That ministers can go off willy-nilly and do whatever they like. You've now got, more than an unseemly row with one of the most senior ministers in the government over this. I couldn't believe a couple of weeks ago there were reports in the Sunday Times about ministers refusing to pick up the phone to the Prime Minister, ministers refusing to go to meetings that they had been called to.
They go like this, they go, oh, Christ, it's him. No.
Well, it just shows that authority has completely drained away from him, and I think probably from the point of view of everybody concerned, the quicker that he ain't there, probably the better. I have a theory that Andy Burnham will get through his first 100 days in quite a simple way. If Andy Burnham becomes Prime Minister on the 15th, on the 17th, and England win the World Cup on the 19th, then he's sorted for the summer.
I'll probably get slaughtered for this, but I suspect that England have got about as much chance of winning the World Cup as Scotland.
No, it needs to be a better chance than that.
Poor Scotland. Fantastic off the pitch, not so good on it. John, great to talk to you as always. Thank you so much. Listen, we are badly over time. There's so much going on. Let's go straight to break.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, it's plug time. My two TV shows, What Just Happened and Plank of the Week. Let's do What Just Happened first. That comes on at 9 o'clock tonight, right here on Talk. Peter Cardwell will be with you from 7 until 9. Then, for an hour, it's my excellent show, What Just Happened. Let's have a quick clip.
Britain is bracing for the deadly threat of the hottest day ever.
By the way, 40 degrees. We're nothing like 40 degrees. It's 36.
Yeah, also, though, 40 degrees is a pretty OK temperature. I mean, there's
This is the girl from Australia.
There's places all around the world, including Australia, that fare just fine with 40 degrees. I mean, just stay indoors, drink water and put your aircon on if you have it. But, I mean, apparently, yeah, we're all going to shrivel up and die.
We'd be better off in this country with global warming. But I think this is just part of the nudge unit again, you know, where they basically you're given grants to follow stories in soap operas. I'm sure news companies are given grants. Oh, you've got to do this. Why else would they be doing it?
I don't know, Ash.
I mean, the other...
Don't ever change, Ash. I gotta love Ash. That's me, Samara Gill and Ash. 9 o'clock tonight on Talk, and then tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. it comes on to YouTube. You can watch it any time you like. Well, while I'm on a roll, let's do Plank of the Week, which is available right now on YouTube. Another of my shows. So here's a clip from that. What were you saying, Amanda? Sorry.
I was in a really nice pub, very expensive. A guy pretending to work there came over with the menu and tried to swipe my phone. And in my instinct was, I whacked him and I grabbed it back. And I did actually have this moment. He starts shouting.
Didn't like
saying that I'd hit him, and I thought, what if I end up being in trouble here when he'd come over?
And you ended up marrying him.
And then,
laughing at my own jokes there. That's Plank of the Week, and go on YouTube, watch that anytime you like. Right now, if you like. Oh, actually, no, not while I'm on. But seriously, it's available anytime you like on YouTube. Very funny show. Right. Let's quickly get a call in, shall we? We need to talk about Manchester Airport. This thug who beat up 2 female cops, only getting 3.5 years. Let's talk to Michael in Birmingham. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Kevin. Can you hear me okay?
I've got you fine, yeah, mate.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I thought that there was a mechanism, and I might invoke it, to appeal to the Attorney General for lenient sentences.
There is, and someone's got to do it. Be my guest, Michael. Be my guest.
I'll do it, yeah. I'll do it over the weekend. I'll get that sorted. I already did it for the Southampton thing anyway, but Nigel Farage beat me to it.
Yeah.
But
you're right. Just to stress that any citizen of the country is entitled to do that, and their request or their demand for a stiffer sentence will have to be reviewed. So 3.5 years for this thug. This Muslim guy who smashed the hell out of 2 female officers, one of them saying she felt like she was being treated like a punch bag because she had her nose smashed all across her face, blood everywhere. 3.5 years. It's a disgrace. 2 years, 7 months for Lucy Connolly for posting nasty, hurty words on social media. 2-tier justice right there, Michael.
Absolutely. You know something? Depressingly, I'm surprised he even got that long. I thought he was... Well, I didn't know... I knew he couldn't walk because he'd been convicted, but it might be suspended or a year.
Yeah.
I'll bet you even now back at the party HQ, they're planning how to get him out as quickly as possible.
Well, look...
I wanted to...
Go on, quickly, because you're breaking up a bit. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to make...
So, Michael, it's got too bad, but you've made your line's too bad. I sense he's in the car, but he was making a good point. Somebody needs to appeal about this sentence. 3.5 years for smashing the hell out of 2 female cops while they're on duty. 3.5 years. That's an insult to British justice. It's an insult to the police force. Coppers need to be protected by the legal system, not thrown to the wolves. That's what that adds up to. Outrageous. OK, we'll get one more call and let's talk to Tom in Sunderland. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Crev. Great show.
Thank you very much. What would you like to say, mate?
Right, so the most divisive person in the UK is Keir Starmer.
Agreed.
On every occasion, every incident, he seeks to divide us, and sort of the people who have seen the thing firsthand have been in prison because they've reported it. It's later transpired that that was the truth, but they tried to bury it, and he is the main person that has divided this country in the last 2 years.
Yeah, here's what I think his essential problem is, and quite a few people in Labour high command. They view the people of this country, millions of people who, for example, were outraged by the Southport murders, who worry about the migrant crisis. They view us as Neanderthals, sort of backward racists. And that's why he's two-tier Keir, because he doesn't like this country, he doesn't like the people of this country, and any of us who suggest that maybe letting in thousands and thousands of unknown young foreign men every year is not a good idea. Oh, you're a far-right racist. That's why he's divisive, because he's divided the country in that way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm from a town that first found out about multiculturalism at Smethwick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Malcolm X down there. And
right, yeah. Well, multiculturalism, I'm not against multiculturalism. I love the idea of it. But let's face it, the reality is it just hasn't worked. It's a disaster. Looking at the country now, it's a disaster. It's a lovely idea, it's a lovely notion, but it's not working, and everybody can see that. Tom, I've got to move on, but really good call. Thank you very much. Tom in Sunderland. Let's go to break.
Burnham just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was 2 things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Man, it's really happening on this show. I'm exhausted. A couple of texts. This is from Richard. Why aren't the government expanding the army camps? Controversial idea. And filling them up with soldiers. There's a thought, Rich. A very good thought. I think the answer is we haven't got any soldiers left because we don't have a defence budget. What is happening to this country? Now we've got the Cabinet, the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary and that idiot Mike Tapp, the Immigration Minister, fighting like rats in a sack. Honestly, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And by the way, Tapp, who do you think is going to be the first person to get sacked when Andy Burnham takes over on July the 20th? You fool. Here's another one. What have we got here? This is Sue saying 3.5 years for that thug in Manchester Airport. Isn't that the sentence Lucy Connolly was given for a tweet? Almost, Sue. Let's go back to the phones. Peter Cardwell will be in a little while to tell you what he's got lined up for your entertainment between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m, because at 9 p.m. it's my show, What Just Happened. Let's talk first to Roy in Hampshire. Hi, Roy.
Hello, Kevin, old mate. How are you doing?
I'm good. Do you want to talk about Lara Bird?
Yeah, what I wanted to say, mate, as a young man of 18, I joined the army. I went in the Irish Guards.
Yeah.
When I got my first 48-hour leave, I went home. I was talking like an Irishman.
Well, why was that? Why was that?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I lived in the United States of America for 10 years and didn't remotely pick up an American accent. I got British friends who lived there for half a century and still sound like they're from Middle England. So this picking up of an accent, I don't buy it.
Well, Kev, I can counter that. I worked at the airport for years.
Yeah, but you only pick up look, I know about this stuff. You only pick up an accent if you want to.
Yeah. Well, as I say, this woman, I asked me to help her, and she was talking in an American accent. Yeah. After 5 minutes, she reverted back to English. You know, she was like an English woman.
Okay.
I don't know if it's laziness or what it is.
Yeah, but I don't believe people pick up accents because they go and live somewhere. If you live in a state, you know, I knew about this in America. All the English people who started speaking like this started speaking a bit American. The only reason they did it is because they wanted to. Those of us who didn't really care, we just carried on speaking English. But this woman, Lara Bird, she's making it up.
She sounds like a wrong one, mate.
Oh, yeah, that's true, Roy. Exactly right. She is a wrong, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. Roy, interesting chat. Thank you. Good call. Roy in Hampshire. This may well be our last call. Paul in Liverpool. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Kev. Just about, Labour and so terrible and so many bad things. But, people seem to be voting for them. I can't get my head around.
Well, you've got a Burnham bounce here. You've got a Burnham bounce, which, if he called a snap election, which, by the way, he just won't, but if he did, because of the Burnham bounce, he might just win that election, but Labour would lose maybe 100 seats, maybe more. And that's why he won't call a snap election.
Who's voting for them? They must want them.
Well, people.
I'm astonished.
Well, yeah, if you look behind the headlines, then you wouldn't vote for Andy Burnham, you wouldn't vote for Labour in a month of Sundays. But, people get sort of sucked in by suddenly it's King Andy, and suddenly they go, oh, maybe this guy will turn things around. So that's why he'll get a few votes. But listen, Paul, you could put it that way. But if you basically ask me why did anybody ever vote Labour, I just don't know. Paul, good call. Thank you very much. That's our last call. That's Paul in Liverpool. Peter Cardwell is in the studio. He'll be with you until 9 p.m. Peter, let me ask you a question. Can we just put this to rest? Andy Burnham's not going to call a snap election.
No, I mean, I'd be really surprised if he does, because all of those people who backed him, well, actually, he'd be saying to them,
You're out of work.
You're out of work. You know, he'd be saying to hundreds of his own people, look, a lot of people will call for this, a lot of people will talk about this, and that's fine, and that's what they do. But the big development today, and we'll be covering this as well, within the last few minutes, actually, is the Downing Street statement on Mike Tapp.
What is going on? This is the Prime Minister not backing his Home Secretary, but backing this half-wit Mike Tapp, you know, who, against stiff opposition, is probably the stupidest man in Parliament. I think the question...
Oh, there's a big competition for that.
I know that. I think the question about him is not should he be sacked, but why did he ever get that job in the first place?
Well, he's Immigration Minister. He is...
useless, apart from that.
He's the MP for Dover. But it is interesting that he's been loyal to Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer is
ludicrously loyal.
Now he's being loyal to Andy Burnham. Shabana Mahmood is saying that he's broken the ministerial code.